Welcome to the 2011 ASLCC elections debate. We'll be beginning with our vice president and presidential candidates. Each of you will have 5 minutes for opening statements. We have Mario Parker Milligan and Jenny Lohr as president and vice president, and also running as writing candidates are Tomas Batista and Wes Smith. Tomas and Wes, do you want to begin your opening statements?
Yeah, sure. I'll go first. All right, so again, my name's Tomas Ray Batista. This is my second year at Lane. I've been a senator for the past year, and I'm taking the criminal justice program. What I want to do with my life is become a Lane County Sheriff's Deputy. I love to help the community, and that's one of the main reasons why I'm doing it. And the reasons why I want to become president is, again, because I do care about the community. And, you know, obviously I can't become a police officer right now, but for right now, you know, this is a good way for me to, you know, get my foot in the door, get some good leadership experience, work with the people, and, you know, again, helping people out. I realize that education is very important. You know, I've taken extra sociology classes. You know, education can really help our community. I believe that it's the most important thing. What it does is it gets us better jobs, and when we get those better jobs, we can get higher pay, and you know, we can overall increase the education of our community. And by doing that, I mean, we could really lower poverty, and poverty is one of the main root causes for social issues and crimes. And so again, you know, I realize that education is really important, and you know, I really want to go for this because I want to look back at my life and, you know, be proud of the good things that I've done. And you know, again, education builds better role models, better leaders, and parents for our children. I mean, I can't express my care for the community. And 3 specific goals why I'm running, or 3 specific goals if I do get in the position that I would like to work on, is Lane does not have access to computers on campus, and I know there's a lot of students here who either can't afford computers, and once they go home on the weekends they don't have anything to do. And you know, by getting this could really help our students. We could help them succeed in their education. And 2 is an OER. What it is an online resource. We can get books online and we could print them. We can get teachers to pick selective material that they need, so that way they don't have to print the whole book and they don't have to get it from the publisher, which could really save them a lot of money. And I did some talking around the campus, and one of our student groups, Osberg, said that one of the nursing students has to pay, or did pay, $1,300 for her books, and that's in 1 term, and that's more than what she's paying to go here. And you know, this is a huge problem, and this is, you know, a way that me and Wesley, you know, see could help a lot of students. And 3rd and finally is educating and empowering students with their issues. You know, there's a lot of students here. The first year I went here, I wasn't a part of student government, and I had no clue we had a health clinic. I had no clue we had a lot of the study programs or recreational things. And you know, by empowering students and educating them on their resources and what they can do, it'll really help a lot of students who want to get something done or do something good and help them get in the door. So, thank you.
You have 1.5 minutes.
So, still have 1.5 minutes. Do you want to take it over, Wes?
Sure. Hello, my fellow constituents, students, and the community at large. My name is Wesley Richard Smith. I am a first-generation student here at Lane Community College. I have been involved with the ASLCC student government for 2.5 years now. I started off as a lobbyist. I continued that pursuit as becoming a senator, and presently am presiding as the current vice president of the ASLCC student government. So, you know, that goes to show that I am very passionate and I care about my students' issues and care about holding this campus accountable for its affordability, its education, and all the important endeavors that our students seek here at Lane.
30 seconds.
I have been, excuse me, I forgot. As many as already knows, this country is in a recession, and that has given our education boards a large amount of deficit to deal with. And I say the major cut, when I say major cuts, I mean the $3.5 billion that we're facing nationwide, which that affect education, human services, and public safety.
Thank you, Wes and Tomas. Maybe you can continue addressing that in the questions. Mario and Jenny, your opening statements.
Thank you. My name is Mario Parker Milligan. I'm the current student body president here at Lane Community College. I'm running again because I feel I've laid a lot of foundation this year working with Wesley and Tomas in student government, doing a lot of great work with students all over the campus, but also on a statewide level. Some things that I want to change, of course, is increasing student involvement, but also creating a more inclusive and safe campus for all students, and making sure that all the resources that students pay for, that students are able to access, are accessible to all of them. Jenny, do you want to talk to?
Yeah, absolutely. So just a quick introduction. My name is Jenny Lohr, and I'm new to student government. And one of the reasons that I am running is because for the last 4.5 years, I've been working in the nonprofit sector as an advocate for sexual assault survivors. And so I know what it's like to advocate for people, for populations that are traditionally underserved. And I think that students are really underserved as well. They say the statistics are that college-age students are some of the lowest demographic of folks who actually vote. And so that means that we are not represented on a state level or on a national level. And so I want to be a part of your student government because I want to help to empower students and educate them on what the issues are and let them know that, that these issues actually affect them. And lastly, I'm running because I'm a student just like you, just like everybody here in the room, Mario and I are, and these folks as well. And so I know really kind of firsthand what the issues are that are affecting us individually and how they affect me, and just in speaking with a lot of folks this past week about how it's affecting them. And so some of our platform issues that we are working on, that we want to work on for everybody, is increasing transportation for all LCC students who take the bus. So that means expanding LTD routes to come to LCC either with more buses or with expanding them to come later at night. So that means that students can actually come to shows that our really great production company here puts on, and so that students can actually have the option to come to night classes if they want to. In addition to transportation, increasing accessibility to transportation is, I know that the student government is bringing ZimRide here to LCC, which is a program that makes ride sharing a little bit easier for all students who drive cars out here. Will reduce the amount of emissions that actually have to come out, that our cars pollute, and also reduce the amount of cars that are in our parking lots.
And lastly, one thing we will and are working on, keeping tuition affordable. So working with the administration, working with the faculty to prevent any unnecessary increases to tuition, and along with that, increasing access to the financial aid services. So bringing more financial aid officers to serve the 35% more students that we have here on campus. And with that, we also want to address the issues that a lot of students are having with the financial aid disbursement company called Hire One. We see that as a really big concern for many students, and we want to address it with administration. So we will be working on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mario and Jenny. So we're going to proceed to the debate questions. I will ask one team of President and Vice President the question. You will have 2 minutes to answer, and each, and then there will be 3 minutes of open debate. So, Mario and Jenny, how exactly will you save students money at LCC? We're facing some pretty serious budget issues.
Do you want to start?
I can start? Okay. So 2 minutes each of us, or 2 minutes for each
2
group?
minutes as a team.
As a team, thank you. So I think that there are a lot of ways.
Jenny, I apologize. I should probably say this is a little nerve-wracking, I know. And so I will give you a 1-minute warning and a 30-second warning.
Okay.
And so we'll go ahead and start the time again.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah.
So I think that there are a lot of ways that student government can help students save money on kind of like a smaller level and on a bigger level. And one of the bigger levels is continuing to do what ALCC has been doing along with the other student governments all over, at college campuses all over the state and all over the United States, is advocating for students on a legislative level, going to lobby days and going to in Salem and to Washington, D.C. to let our voices be known that please do not cut Pell Grant programs and TRIO programs and cut programs that are so necessary for us to be able to access higher education. So that's one way that I think that we can save students money.
Another way we can save students money is we will prevent unnecessary raises in tuition. We have our foot in the door with administration and with the faculty unions to let them know that any increases to tuition or any fees at that, students need to be at the table, and students will be at the table having educated conversations with our administration and with faculty representatives to make sure that if there are any conversations that pertain to the budget, to the college budget, I know we are facing a huge deficit, but if there are any conversations happening about tuition raises, students have to be in the room, have to be at the table, because we are the consumer. We need to have our voices heard.
I also think it's important to be, because I think it's a very big responsibility to be in charge of student fees and how those get allocated. And so understanding that as a student government, that we have the responsibility, that we need to be responsible with funds, be responsible with student money, because it's not just about us, it's about everybody as well. And letting folks know how we're spending their money and in ways in which that we can do it to make their money go a little bit further.
Thank you. So, Wes and Tomas, how exactly will you save students money?
Well, first of all, what I'd like to say is the top two things that like to influence our government officials would be money and voters. And obviously I'm a student, so therefore I have no money. But as a student, I have a community that I work with plenty of students who are voters. And by getting all of these people in Salem gathered saying, hey, these are all your voters who are voting for you, and we're counting on you to, gives us this money for our education. And, that's one, I want to say, macro goal is, getting a bunch of students together and telling their government officials, that they care, and that's, one way to get money. And two, specifically, what can be done on campus, again, is the OER, what I explained earlier. Again, it's an online resource. You can print it off, and all you need to pay for is the copies. You don't have to pay a whole bunch from there. So that's a huge amount of money that we could be saving students, both macro and, what was the big one? It's like, well, from a wide scale, we can, from our government officials, influence them. And from a local on campus, we can do the OER.
And also, I kind of feel that one of the hugest and largest things that me and Tomas may provide is empowerment to our students.
30 seconds.
In order to have empowerment to our students, we need to be there, we need to be available for them, and we need to stand up and know exactly what cuts are being implemented towards our students at Lane Community College, exactly what stances we need to take to address them financial concerns, and being available and providing the information to our students so they will have the ability to stand up and let the student voice be heard on a legislative level.
Thank you, Wes and Tomas. So Tomas and Wes, how will you educate or empower students?
Well, I'm glad you asked that.
Sorry, I had a question. I thought there was like a 3-minute debate
Oh,
period.
you know what? You're right. Thank you. So we now have 3 minutes for open discussion of this issue.
Okay.
You can begin.
All right. I guess one clarifying question I would have for Tomas would be, you've brought up the OER, which is open educational resources. I just want to hear more about that from you.
Okay. So by having an online education resource, we can get our textbooks online, and me and Wesley will probably formulate funds requests to get printers, possibly in our library or some other convenient location, and we could talk to the teachers and request what chapters they're going to use, because there's teachers who don't necessarily use the whole book, and so when they just print those selected chapters, that saves money. And two, they don't have to order it and get it shipped to our school and then buy it from school and from the publisher. And so, these are multiple ways that this can really cut down the cost of the books.
Because I've been working with the Open Educational Resource Committee here on campus that hasn't met for a couple months, but we were meeting during the fall and winter terms, and Osberg was a part of that committee as well. But something I wanted to bring up, because you mentioned a funds request for a printer, there is a printer that actually was bought by the Titan bookstore, and if it's not here already, it's coming. And what we're working on is implementing the Open Educational Resource program that is on campus. It's just taking a long time because we have to talk to, like you said, the teachers, the instructors, and get them on board.
1 minute.
But I'm glad to hear that you want to work on that as well, because it's a big. We've invested a lot of money in it. I believe $130,000 here on campus to work on open educational resources that would cut down on textbook costs for many students. But also, it wouldn't just be textbooks. It would be any resource that any professor would see fit to teach or utilize in their classrooms.
And also on top of that,
30
I
seconds.
do understand that this is very important to have affordable textbooks and available textbooks to our students here at Lane Community College. And on top of that, the process has started, but it is important for us to have student voices being in these
10
administrative
seconds.
meetings and presenting our concern and our statements into these OER, situations, and making them affordable to our students as well, and making them accessible to our students. So it is really important, like Mario had stated.
Thank you,
that we
candidates.
get
That's
some-
time. So I'll address this question to Tomas and Wes. How would you educate or empower students?
Would you like to go first? All right. Over the past year, I've really been active. I've been one of the most hardworking, dedicated senators in our student government, and I've done a lot of projects. One of the projects that I primarily worked on was the pep rally, and what it is it's a sports pep rally for our athletics team, and I've learned a lot from that. I've gone to conferences around the state, and I've even gone to a conference in D.C. Just for leadership trainings and how to get what I wanted to know done. And by getting these together, I've really seen what it is that gets students to events, what makes people want to listen, what makes people want to attend. And by doing this pep rally, I've really learned a lot.
1 minute.
Having little events and rallies and passing out flyers or just simply putting up a sign is a good way to build awareness, or educating the students on what our resources are.
And on top of that, we would like to provide information on paper, double-sided, so we're not wasting paper. we get that information on both sides, where it's available to our students of the issues that are happening on the legislative level, as well as here on our campus.
30 seconds.
We'd just like to also, the only way that we feel that we can empower our students is to be actively in pursuit of getting these students on board as our constituents, as our coalition, to go out there and build and form
10
rallies,
seconds.
let the voice be heard, and just get out there and get the job done.
Thank you. Mario and Jenny, how will you educate or empower students?
So first of all, I would like to say that I think that education is empowerment. I think that in order for students to be able to make informed decisions that affect their lives, like the classes they're going to take, the money they're going to spend on classes and tuition and books, and where they're even going to live, they need to have access to all of the information. And so I think it's really important for students to be knowledgeable and aware of everything, of all of their options that are available to them, because then they are able to make their own decisions and they're able to empower themselves. That's why we're all here to seek an education, right? We're trying to figure out like what it is that where are our career goals, like what it is that we want to do here. And I think I have a lot of experience in community organizing. I've organized a lot of events in the community here, events that have been really well attended by, like hundreds of people. I recently helped organize the annual Take Back the Night march rally and speak out. And that attracted hundreds of people. And I think it's important to be able to let people know what the issues are, let them know how it personally affects them, how it personally affects their community, and the things that they can do, and give them tools to take away with them so that they can actually work to make a better community and environment.
And I think Jenny and I are actually doing this now through our campaign. We're speaking with students. And our volunteers actually are speaking with lots of students, having great conversations about what they want student government to do next year and what they want to see us prioritize. And through these conversations, we are getting really great feedback and really great suggestions for what students want to see here on campus, but also what they want to see from their student government. So I think it's really important to note that we are doing this. We are empowering students, but we are also educating and being educated by the students
10
who
seconds.
want to see their student government work for them next year.
Thank you. Mario and Jenny, I know that all of you have discussed this somewhat, so maybe you can expand on it. I'm sorry. Oh, thank you. By the end of this, I'll have it down. Okay, so 3 minutes for open debate and discussion.
How exactly is empowering or educating students involved in your guys' work?
Like Mario said, just to piggyback off what he said, so this week we've been going around and talking to students. I've been talking to a lot of students at the smoking station and in the cafeteria, like sitting down with them while they're having lunch or while they're taking a smoke break. And I've been introducing myself and saying, my name's Jenny, just like you, and I'm running for student body vice president with Mario. And the feedback I've gotten from students is they're like, wow, it's really one thing to see a flyer, to see something chalkboard on the sidewalks. It's a whole nother thing to actually talk with a person who cares about my issues. And we have, I don't know if y'all have seen them, but we have kind of like our interest cards. And I've also been telling folks, like, tell me what else you want us to work on. Tell me what else is important to you, because it's one thing for us to say, we think that y'all need this, but it's a whole nother to actually act on it and to get input from other people, especially students. And that's exactly what we would be doing here is serving our students.
Mm-hmm. And this reason is why educating and empowering is one of mine and Wesley's top 3 goals for the students. And by having these students educated, like I said with my education spiel about how by getting education you can get jobs and get more money, and that'll lower poverty, and also on like a minor scale, just educating students here about their resources. This really helps them. I know that I could have gotten a lot of help if I would have known about half the things I know now. And, people don't know that there's a student legal secretary for them to go to for legal advice. And by educating and empowering students, that's really the key to social change. And, having awareness, having people know about issues that they, are being directly influenced by.
As well as one of the only ways that we can empower our students here at Lane Community College is to get them educated, get them scripts out here that have all the numbers, the percentages, all the cuts that are being implemented on our college, the student fee raises, tuition raises, financial aid cuts, and so forth. That's the only way that we're going to get our students involved is to get them educated and empower them, let them know that their voice needs to be heard on the legislative level, not just seen around the campus, but to be seen and heard as well. So, empowerment is really vital to our successes, and it's what we need here at Lane Community College, is more involved students.
Thank you, candidates. So let's try this again. Mario and Jenny, all of you have all talked about this somewhat, but can you expand on your leadership experience and what your strengths and weaknesses are?
Sure. My leadership experiences include, I'm the current student body president, so there's that, but I'm also the current OSA board chair, with that, I was the first community college in the 35 years that OSA has been around. I was the first community college student to be elected as that board chair who represents over 100,000 students on a statewide level. With that, I've had the opportunities to meet with legislators, but also testify in front of many groups, including the Oregon legislator, also the Oregon University system, some people in DC, but I've also had lots of chances to just advocate for students on a student level, so speaking with students directly here on this campus, at the U of O, up in Portland, at Mount Hood, just around the country, around the state, having really great conversations with students about student issues.
I think good leadership skills is essential in positions like these because
1 minute.
And so to talk about my leadership experience a little bit, I've definitely helped organize a lot of community events here in Lane County, and I've also held leadership positions as well. And I think some of the essential characteristics of a good leader is somebody who can listen. Somebody who can listen to the other people who are at the table, because so often voices are silenced, and I think in order to be a good leader, we have to be able to listen to many voices at the table and be able to collectively say, it sounds like this is what's happening here. And it sounds like these are areas in which we need to to work on. And so I think a good leader needs to be able to take initiative and have personal drive and passions that fuel
10
those,
seconds.
and then also be willing to step back and listen to other people as well.
Thank you, Mario and Jenny. Tomas and Wes, can you talk a little bit more about your leadership experience, your strengths and weaknesses?
Well, I can start off. Like I stated before, I've had 2.5 years involved with the Associated Students of Lane Community College. I started off as a lobbyist, which I'm grateful to have gotten myself involved in because it had taken me to another level in my own experience. It gave me that willingness to look at things from another point of view. I went up and worked on a bill here at college, and I also went and spoke to our legislative bodies up at Salem in regards to our Anti-Bullying Safer Schools Act, which passed here in Oregon. And it was really empowering because we got this bill reopened again and put on a forefront where we can get out to our K-12 schools, and the impacts that it would have is making it available to the students that are being bullied because of their gender preferences or their learning capabilities, their color issues, their racial issues, just all of them. We have major issues within our K-12 that carry on into the college post-secondary education level, and we need to address them beforehand so they do not fall into that same game here at Lane Community College, and we need to educate and empower them as well.
Okay. My past leadership experiences are recently I've been a senator, so I've been officially a representative of about 25,000 students. And besides that, I've been involved in athletics heavily. I've gone to Las Vegas and to wrestling tournaments and went to state, and I was really a leadership position within my wrestling team, and so I'm just a person who comes from a very mental leadership and a very physical leadership. I've learned that the best leaders are the best followers, because when it comes down to it, everybody starts as a follower. And,
That's
every
time.
student.
Thank you. And so we have 3 minutes for open debate and discussion of this issue.
I'd also like to point out that I think a good leader isn't necessarily a follower, but is somebody who can stand alongside other people in the struggle, right? Like, so if we are advocating to keep tuition costs down low, like I'm standing with my fellow students in order to make that happen. I'm not just standing up front and saying this is what everybody needs and have no idea, but like we need to stand alongside each other in solidarity if we are actually going to get things done. And I mean, in addition to that, so for the last 4.5 years, I've helped train over 100 people at the organization that I work at to be good advocates for sexual assault survivors in all of Lane County. So collectively, with the entire agency that I work with, we've helped train over 400 people in the last 4 years on how to be good advocates, and not in leadership positions, yes, but also by leading by example. And by demonstrating good skills that we want people to take away with them.
Yeah, by being a leader that there's no task that you haven't already done yourself. And what I mean by a follower, is not necessarily somebody who just listens and does everything they're told, but as a senator, theoretically, I was a follower because I had no specific, leadership roles in the student government.
1 minute.
But, I ended up following other people. Like, I went up to my good friend Eric, and I'm like, hey, what can I do? I don't know. It's, this is me just getting started, and, I got on board, and I started doing things, and, I started getting involved, and then that really helped, that progressive amount of involvement really helped me become a leader that I am today. And I just like to point out that every student here is a leader.
30 seconds.
Going to college, being a good example for the rest of the community, because going to college is extremely important. And every student here I've met has been really hardworking. There's got a lot of individuals here that have a lot of heart and, have a lot of things they care about. And, this is why I want to be on board here and, help them with those issues.
Thank you. Okay, next question for Wes and Tomas. What's the most important thing on your platform?
You go first.
Okay, well, one of the most important things that I have on my platform would be to forming a cultural competent school here at Lane Community College for our facilitators. Educating them, teaching them environment and seeking to have the faculty be open to new teaching ways, to having open minds and understanding that all religions ain't the same. All of us ain't traditional students here at Lane Community College. Some of us are first-generation students. Some of us are returning students to college. And just having that culture competent, facilitated, administrative, teachers, and so forth would make this college even more stronger than it already is. So that's one of my major, platforms, is to get the cultural competency trainings institutionalized to our teachers, our facilitators, giving them the ability to teach the wider diversity on this campus, because there is, like Mario had stated, 35% more students which are culturally diverse students. So, having a cultural competent facility and faculty would definitely be one of my platform goals as well.
Yeah, and one of my most important platform goal is tuition.
30 seconds.
the government is planning to cut back on education, and places like Lane Community College only have two resorts. That's cut programs, cut faculty, or they can raise your tuition. We're probably going to experience a little bit of both on this, and this is why it's really important for us to stand up and fight back
10
against
seconds.
this.
Thank you. Mario and Jenny, what's the most important thing on your platform?
Jenny and I agree that because of the platform that we've put together with a lot of our volunteers and supporters, everything on it is important. From access to transportation to student resources and safety to affordability, everything that we are working for is the most important thing. Without one, everything is really cohesive and flows together. So without one of them, our platform wouldn't be as strong as it is.
I agree. I think our platform is really interconnected with each other, because the core of our platform is making it easier for students to access education, to maintain access, to maintain the ability to access education, and to create safer spaces here for students as well. So we see. Mario and I see our campaign platform as really interconnected, because they are all equally important, because the core of it is students. It's all of us, it's all of y'all. So
our main goal next year for everything that we want to do is
1 minute.
to make it easier for students to come to LCC and be a student. You shouldn't have to worry about your life experiences, everything that's going on at home, at work, while you're at school. You should come to school and focus on being a student, and that's what we want to work towards next year.
Thank you. And if you'd like, there's 3 minutes to have an open debate or discussion about your platforms.
I'm wondering if you all can define cultural competence and maybe some of this. You talked a little bit about that, and so maybe some of the steps that you want to take to make that happen. And then I'm also wondering if you think that needs to apply to students in leadership positions as well.
Okay, well, cultural competency, it has a wide range of difficulties that are happening around our nation. We come from an era where we have traditional students that have had no trainings whatsoever on their teaching capabilities towards different races and ethnicities within colleges. And I kind of feel that's, even being just the language, educating them on language and cultural differences, which is rarely expressed or even adhered to on the college level, because they're pretty much brought up in a generation where it was a white dominant culture, without the diversity here within the colleges with learning abilities that we have today. So I don't know if that totally answered your question, but if you could let me know the second part of that question again.
And then if you think that needs to be applied to student leaders as well. I mean, because I guess, my definition of cultural competency is educating people about the diversity, about how to make how to make an educational setting more comfortable for all students of different abilities, of different ethnic backgrounds, of different languages, of different genders, of different sexual orientations. So I think it encompasses a lot of things.
1 minute.
And it's not just a matter, and I don't feel like it's a matter of, because I think that, I see a lot of diversity trainings and cultural competency trainings, and then, but plan of actions, I think are slow to come. And I also think it's important for student leaders and people who are part of the student government to be able to do that as well. So we're all on the same page. So we're all on the same page because everybody, who accesses education here, we do all come from different places, and educating the teachers so that they have more cultural competency, yes, I think is important,
30
but I think it's
seconds.
equally as important to educate our fellow students and our student leaders as well.
And as well as, yes, I do believe that it does need to start at the student leadership level, where we can get that voice out there and get that information out here to our students, you know, in the best way that
10 seconds.
we find admissible to them. So, you know, I do believe that cultural competency is a must, and we do need to educate our students on top of our leadership qualities, and we can
that's
definitely
time.
do that as a leader.
Thank you, candidates. So we have a final question, and we'll start with Mario and Jenny. We've been talking a lot about cultural competency and the student body of LCC being very diverse. So what would an inclusive campus look like, and what steps will you take to get there? If you can talk a little bit more about those issues.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's important to create an inclusive campus because people are accessing education for a lot of different reasons, because they want to, for their career goals, and then also for personal growth, and also, and for a lot of different reasons. And so I think in order to maintain students accessing education and staying in school, because we know that a lot of students come to school and then they drop out for a lot of different reasons. And so I think it's important that students are able and are given the resources and the ability to stay in school financially. And then also I also think it's important for student services to be culturally relevant towards students as well. I think that our Women's Center does a really excellent job with the Women in Transitions program. Makes it easier for folks who identify as women and for folks to access higher education when they would maybe not have had that opportunity to. I know that something that
One minute.
I know that's something that I really appreciate when I started school here was I immediately became friends with a lot of other students here, people who had different identities and had different shared backgrounds than that I do, and that definitely helped me to feel a little bit safer here on campus.
And I think another thing to add that Jenny was talking about or emphasize on was resources. There's lots of resources for a lot of, is that 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot of resources on campus, but they're not being utilized as best as they could be. We have a great women's center, a great multicultural center, a great disability services, and an expanding veteran center, but we also need to think about the underrepresented groups, such as the LGBTQ community on
10
campus.
seconds.
And we do need resources for those students, especially.
Thank you. Wes and Tomas, what would an inclusive campus look like to you, and what steps will you take to get there?
Well, two things that I would really think that make an inclusive campus would be, safe areas where people who identify as LGBTQ could go to, and having gender-neutral bathrooms. Having both of those things are really, it's a lot of work to put together, but as a leader, we can really empower and educate the students about these issues, and we can all together, work on this and, get something done.
And like he stated, inclusive means a safe campus, a campus where, regardless to gender preference, racial, ethnicities, and so forth, just having the ability to come to school, not have to worry about, getting slanderous remarks thrown at you, or trying to go and use the
1
restroom
minute.
and getting judged for what you have going your preference with your life is to be as, different. And just to be in a safe area, an open and willing to learn place here where students would not feel any threats towards coming to this school and seeking their post-secondary education.
You have 30 more seconds.
Okay.
Did you want to add anything? Okay, thank you. So, candidates, you have 3 minutes for a debate and open discussion about inclusive campuses.
One thing that I heard from you all was a gender-inclusive or gender-neutral bathroom, but I wanted to hear more. What would a gender-inclusive space on this campus look like? And for the record, I believe we do have a few of those on campus, and a few areas that are not accessible to all students. But
Exactly. I kind of feel that, would be a room, possibly a LGBT community center, where we can provide, you know, information for healthcare, for grants, for, you know, whatever being gender inclusive means. I mean, just a center where they can go and be who they are and be proud and not be afraid to be judged for being who they choose to be in those areas. You know, pretty much, you know, I come from a straight male side, so that's part of my learning capabilities. What I want to learn about, you know, more is, you know, inclusiveness on campus, and I will definitely and diligently push forward to having these spaces provided for our students and providing that hand and that open-mindedness that will help our students to become safer and feel more pertinent to
Like
want to
they're
become
at
to
home.
school. So, did I answer your question? No?
What's GIS?
Gender inclusive spaces.
But I want to know what it would look like. I want to know what a gender inclusive restroom would look like.
A gender inclusive restroom to me would be on the front door. It would not have a male preference or a female preference. It would have both sides of gender presented outside the door, and it would be
1
a
minute.
safe zone where they can go and use the facilities and not feeling of any threat to being judged in that space.
So I just want to add a little bit as well, because I think the importance of gender inclusive spaces, and I just want to clarify, because when we talk about gender and we talk about a lot of these different issues, I think it's really, we have to be careful about the language we use. Gender preference is definitely not the competent language to be using around people who identify as
30
genderqueer
seconds.
or trans, and so I just want to make that really clear as well. It's not gender preference, because there's assumption that someone has a choice, and I also think that it's important to create gender inclusive spaces because trans folks and genderqueer people experience violence at a higher rate than the cisgender, than the non-trans community does. And so I think it's important for us to recognize other people's struggles and how to make things safer for people on campus. And I don't think that an LGBTQA center is just going to fix it. While I do think it's really important to create those spaces.
That's time, candidates. Please move on.
I think it's important to create an environment where we foster that all around, not just in these particular spaces, but then with individuals.
Okay, so
Community level. Thank you. Sorry.
candidates, I just want you to be aware that when time is called, the camera actually moves off of you. Okay. So you could continue talking, but we're probably going to move on. So we have 2 student questions. Let's see, Mario and Jenny started the last one, so I think that we'll start with Tomas and Wes. We're going to have 3 minutes, so just take a minute and a half each as a team. I'll give you a 30-second warning. So how would you define sustainability, and how will you incorporate that into your work next year?
So having a sustainable campus, it's a campus that can work on its, on itself. Like for an example, we have a group here called the Learning Garden. They have a garden, obviously, but we grow vegetables and a lot of produce, and that produce gets used in the cafeteria, and that's just one way of, or that's one example of sustainability. By finding alternatives to using gas. And, like the electric cars, that's also a sustainable item. And so having a sustainable campus, is important economically and,
I think it might also, it would
30
include
seconds.
the products that we use here at Lane Community College, that there be more recycle stations, there be more environmentally safe product that we're going to be using here, and as well as Osberg is working on trying to get the water bottle banned on our campuses. And
Sorry, time's almost up. You can wrap it up, please. Wes, this is a new debate platform, so I'll go ahead and give you another 10 seconds, and I'll extend yours as well. So since I interrupted you and forgot to give you the 10-second warning. Okay, you ready to wrap up your thoughts?
Just a more recyclable school, because I lost my train of thought. Thank you.
Yeah, I apologize. Mario and Jenny, how would you address the sustainability question?
Sustainability, I would first off start by saying it's not just about recycling and making sure that garbage is used in the right places or put in the right places, or we have filters on our water fountains. I think sustainability is also about education and the fact that we have to, whatever we're giving out or whatever we're taking, we have to put back. So we have 11, 12,000 students here on campus. We have to make sure that they are entering, or as they leave LCC, they have more knowledge and they have more experience to incorporate in their daily lives, but also to make this country and this state a more effective working place. So sustainability, yes, when we look at it, we do have to look at the side of recycling and not wasting materials, but we also need to look at the side that we're not wasting resources and we're not wasting faculty or administration's time as students are here. So students, like we're being sustainable being here as leaders. We are using our knowledge and our experience to make this campus a better place, making this campus more sustainable in effect.
Absolutely. I think that we have great privilege here as you know, people who live in the United States. We have really kind of an abundance of a lot of things, and I think that sustainability should become a way of life, a way of like how do I sustain my education? How do I sustain this world? How do we make these things sustainable so that they can, you know, like we can carry them with us to the rest of our lives.
And that's time. Thank you. So I apologize for not keeping accurate time. With the last question, Wes and Tomas, I'll give you the option of answering this question first or second.
We'll do it second.
Okay, so Mario and Jenny. Okay. How will you discover and address the needs of different communities on campus?
So we have a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier in this debate, we've been having really great conversations with lots of people here on campus. Not just the traditional student, but non-traditional students, student veterans, students with disabilities, differently abled students. I think it starts at the groundwork, having conversations and asking, what are your issues here on campus? What do you want to see from your college administration or from your student government? What areas need improvement? I think it starts at the ground level, like I said, the ground level, having really intentional conversations with everybody that we traditionally don't talk to. So stepping out of our boxes or out of our circle, our social circles, and having conversations.
I agree. I definitely think it's been a really a great gift to be able to talk with students all week, and I also think that, you know, in order for us to to do this, we have to educate ourselves. Like, we have to educate ourselves on how to best serve communities that we don't belong to, you know, or serve communities where we don't hold membership. And so educating ourselves, because cultural competency is an ongoing struggle, an ongoing, you know, it's something that, you know, we have to work on constantly. So it's one thing to say, you know, yes, this is gender inclusive space, but why, how is it gender inclusive space, and what work have I done individually, and what work have I done with my community members to make it so, not just saying that it is.
Thank you. So Tomas and Wes, how are you going to discover the needs of different communities on campus and address them?
Okay. So for the past year, I've made it a personal oath to represent the 25,000 students to the best of my ability. One of the things I did was I got a suggestion box project, and I got suggestions from students all over the campus on what they would like to work on or what they would like to see their student government doing. And this really got a good outcome of knowing what our students want or need. And I also come from a very diverse background. I was born in California, and I was a part of 1 out of 3 white kids in each of my classes. And I just recently moved up here into Oregon, so I know what it feels like to be a minority. I see myself as a very open-minded individual, and I listen to the best of my abilities whenever I can. And so these are some ways that I can assure you that I will.
30 seconds.
So, and on top of that, I kind of feel that one of the greatest things that we can do to leap these bounds of diversity on this campus is to get out there and talk to the student, ask them what's ailing them right now, and what would their resolution be. So it'd rather
10
be
seconds.
put on their mind so they can let us know what needs to be done, rather than us trying to take the major initiative, because the major initiative is the
That's
students'
time.
needs.
Okay. Presidential and vice presidential candidates, thank you very much.